All right, good afternoon, EDG 7252, Group A. This is our Week 9 synthesis. I'm Jonathan Higgins, and this is my partner in crime, Finnegan, and we are making cookies today. We're cooking with culture. So we're looking at culture and curriculum today. We're going to start out for you with our first ingredient here. You know it as cookie mix, okay? But to us, we're looking at this as Theme 1. And I'll hold this up so you guys can kind of see it and get an idea of what we're looking at here with regard to Theme 1. Let's see if we can get that going. Okay, so Theme 1, we looked at in these postings. Theme 1, looking at the creation of a curriculum that is personally relevant to students' lives. So a lot of these articles focused on, between the Teaching Boldly article, the Sleater article, and Teaching Boldly, and the Moroe, I think I'm saying that correctly, with the complementary curriculum, and both focused on connecting the experiences to our students' lives. So what I found here in our synthesis was that in doing this, teachers were resourceful. Teachers made connections to one another, and to their students. Teachers celebrated individual cultural experiences, as we saw with the agricultural example, the English examples, the math examples. And teachers created then engaging learning experiences directed towards their specific students. A lot of my group members focused on this Leader Teaching Boldly article. That's what we really emphasized here. So it does come up in all of our themes. Moroe 2009 looks at the complementary curriculum in making connections to students' lives through writing personal stories. So really connecting that to students and having students then analyze and examine their own personal context then in the greater world. Another component of that was these 3 questioning strategies, encouraging students, or encouraging teachers to elicit personal views from their students, to enable discussions on viewpoints, to challenge student viewpoints, and so forth. So again, Theme 1, our cookie batter here, or our cookie, I guess it's not batter yet, mix, really focused on bringing it home and making it personal and that personal connection to our students. I want to talk about a couple of quotes that synthesized this point for me. Hannah had an excellent quote here. It said, "When an educator teaches a whole person, a person connected to his or her faith, passion, and life, he or she would seek connections with his or her students and worthy knowledge. This education is an organic, holistic, integrated ecosystem for all to develop and grow. It is life-giving rather than an institution of assembly lines seeking a common culture." That was a real common theme throughout this, that we all focused on, teaching being personally relevant to our students' lives, and also that concept of creation of knowledge, not just transmitting knowledge and understanding. So we see that. Danielle had another really neat quote that I wanted to throw in here quickly. The way that these teachers were able to weave in their own experiences, integrate ideas of social justice, and bring awareness to their students through an engaging learning experience should inspire us and maybe even spark action to see how we can weave in such opportunities in the midst of a demanding hold on test-based teaching. One of the things that was common throughout a lot of these postings too in this section in our first theme was needing that emphasis on administrative support and using administrative support to be able to be that rogue teacher who is teaching, get your head out of there, being able to be that rogue teacher who is teaching boldly and is connecting the curriculum to their students. All right, our next theme then, what do we need next? What else do we need? You already cracked it. What is it? What do we need to put in there? You just cracked it. What is it?
An egg.
An egg. Good job. So you guys know that as an egg, but I may know it as, I jumped ahead here. Okay, Theme 2, acknowledging cultural diversity in education. This was another common theme. Go ahead, Finny, throw that egg in there. No, let's crack it first. Ready? Yeah, hit it. Hit it harder. Good job. Oh, that's not good.
Like the egg?
It got all over me. That's okay. We'll clean up in a minute. Okay, so Theme 2, acknowledging cultural diversity. Our egg that's going to kind of bring it all together here is understanding that cultural diversity. Sleater emphasized that in this concept, again, of teaching boldly and in fostering collaboration among students. So bringing students together to learn from one another and then to learn about one another as well. The Chan article here was really interesting in looking at teacher experiences of culture and how teachers need to acknowledge cultural diversity and whose culture specifically is dominant and things such as that. And that was an important component that, many of us went back and forth on, like whose culture is dominant? How do we acknowledge the dominant culture that we are teaching from, the perspective that we're teaching from? And with that Chan article, understanding that I, as the teacher, may not be my role to tell students and tell parents that they can go on a field trip, that they can do these things, and so forth. I thought there was a theme in there too with Carlson and the bully curriculum, and looking at specifically normative behavior and bullying, and seeing that normative behavior, that masculine behavior, normative behavior, and then anything else as simply being abnormal. So again, acknowledging that cultural diversity in education, and using that to then better instruct our students. Let's see, Johnny, in doing the acknowledging cultural diversity, Johnny made an interesting point that I think he did in his master's program, where he held morning meetings for his students to kind of just allow them time to talk and learn from one another and experience that cultural diversity firsthand. I'd say another quick point here was that teachers need to acknowledge cultural diversity as well, regardless of the reasons for the parents not wishing to participate. And in reading that, I felt that I had been there before. I had been that teacher that had said, yeah, you can go on this. Yeah, you need to do this field trip and so forth. When really, how insensitive was that of me to suggest that I might override the parents' cultural wishes or specific ideas on that. Good? All right. And Christina noted that here, okay? This bigger point is that all teachers in this, in acknowledging cultural diversity, should really understand and be mindful of the biases that they bring with them. And I think that is encompassed in all of these sources. All right, Finny, let's move on. We are going to go to theme 3. We've got the egg in there. We've got the mix in there, somewhat mixed up. And we're going to put our last one in here, theme 3. And theme 3 is going to be the challenging curriculum. Whose curriculum is best? Who should be represented? And this, again, was significantly stated in a number of these sources. The Sleater article with Teaching Boldly, looking at, do all cultures deserve equal representation? Is there a right or a wrong in teaching, in teaching cultural beliefs and attitudes? Is there a right and wrong way to address our students? The Chan article, to what extent, does William, that teacher who encouraged the parents and said, hey, you got to let your daughter go on this field trip, to what extent should he not be doing that? To what extent is his culture correct? And Johnny had a really fascinating quote there, and I put it in the PowerPoint for you to see, that, dominance and the forceful thumb of white Christian culture and assimilation was then forced onto minorities. And from that, we need to, number one, understand where we're coming from, but we also need to understand the populations that we're dealing with and the students and where those students may be coming from as well. Lastly, in the Murray article, the too many people are going to college, was the liberal education in elementary and middle school, kind of shifting that, saying, okay, college is fine, but we should be teaching these ideas earlier. We should be teaching them at the elementary and middle schools. But then on the challenging curriculum theme, I have a problem with that because, whose liberal education, whose values, whose beliefs, whose ideas are we teaching in that? Do we need to refine the function of education, or the function of curriculum? And then the power sources in curriculum. Let's see, that I've got to also add in, Johnny had another interesting post here, another interesting quote that I want to add with this one as to the importance of higher education. And he said, if school is such a waste, why did notable Black educators argue so vehemently about which type of education was important for Black America? And with that, we are ready for our last ingredient, Fim. Ready? Butter. We're going to dump it in there, and that was theme 3. So we've covered all of our themes, and now we are going to mix. You start mixing, man. Okay? So again, in these readings, we really pulled out 3 different themes. The last 2 kind of go hand in hand with one another. But wait, there's more, Finny. Something doesn't quite fit in here, okay? As I say all the time, everything is better with what?
ranch.
Is everything better with ranch dressing? Vinny says I'd eat the house with ranch dressing. Okay, but ranch dressing, no, doesn't really fit in our cookies. Can we put it in our cookies? What do you think? No, probably not a good idea, okay? But the thing that doesn't fit here that I still wanted to bring up was that, you know, the concept of brick and mortar college is becoming obsolete. Looking at, you know, libraries being transitioned to online, not yet. The wage premium of the bachelor's degree, that was a fascinating concept and a fascinating reading. Scary reading for some of us who are involved in higher education and you know, secondary education and encouraging our students to go that route. And I think we need to go back to what Johnny said. You know, if this was the ideas that we were trying to encourage our students, where does that come from? Where is that foundation? And what is the better route for our students? So with that, those are our three major themes and our ranch dressing on the side of this week's synthesis post. So I'd like to thank you all for tuning in. Our timer is ready. Our cookies are just about mixed. And I hope you all have a wonderful week ahead.